Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Canning Kaplan, and I lead US K through 12 go-to-market at OpenAI. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to be going through a helpful ChatGPT for Education 101. This training is focused on educators, teachers, and staff members in K-12 institutions. It'll be relevant for many, but that is the primary focus today. Just want to make sure my slides are showing, and I'm going to jump into the presentation. All right. So quick check here. I'm Sam Canning Kaplan, based out of New York City. My role at OpenAI is I partner with schools and districts around the country to help them navigate the world of OpenAI and our solutions. And on top of that, helping OpenAI get tons of feedback from the field to make sure that we're building tools that are relevant for you. So thank you all so much for joining today. This training today will have lots of interactive content. The whole goal of this is instead of doing, pie in the sky theory, we want to give you as educators practical tools that you can use right after this presentation. So feel free to go to this link. It is case sensitive. It's bit.ly/ in all caps OAI-teachers. You can also take a picture of this QR code, and that'll get you right into the slides. This is really important today because there's lots of prompts in this deck that we'll be utilizing together throughout the training. So make sure you go into there, and I'll be flashing this through a couple times throughout the presentation. All right. So if you are here, you most likely heard of our launch a couple weeks ago called ChatGPT for Teachers. Inside of this deck, if you have not already signed up yet, I've included a sign up link. What this is we wanted to provide a safe and secure solution for educators across the US in the K-12 space. So with this, what it's structured as is it's open to all staff and free. It includes data protection, so OpenAI cannot train on any inputs or outputs that you put into this system. It is a secured walled garden workspace. It includes admin features and oversight, unlimited ChatGPT 5.1, custom GPTs, projects, and more. It's free through 2027 of June, and our goal after that is to keep things equitable and provide advance notice to any changes with that as well. So there's a good sign-up link in here and an FAQ doc. The FAQ doc has lots of helpful resources for both teachers and admin who might be wanting to verify their domain and grab those users into one workspace. That being said, the focus of today is staff and educators, so we're going to jump right in. And in perfect timing today we launched our brand new ChatGPT Foundations for Teachers. It's a public course that's hosted on Coursera. You can access it on Coursera's website. We'll make sure to paste that link in the chat. It's also inside of the deck in the next slide. This practical introductory course helps K-12 educators move from curiosity to confident everyday use of ChatGPT. It's built specifically for teachers. It introduces the essentials of how ChatGPT works, how to navigate and personalize the tool, and how to apply it to real classroom and administrative tasks. Across short, hands-on modules, you'll explore core ChatGPT tools, learn how to write and refine effective prompts, and practice using AI in common educator workflows like lesson plans, communication, rubrics, and student support. You'll see step-by-step demos, ready-to-use examples, and real classroom workflows from experienced educators. This course also emphasizes responsible, professional AI use, including data privacy and human judgment and keeping the human in the loop. And by the end of this course, you'll be able to navigate and personalize ChatGPT for daily classroom and administrative tasks, write and refine effective prompts using a clear prompting framework, understand how to adapt and personalize top educator use cases to align with your unique classroom goals, and review outputs critically to use AI responsibly in a school setting. Super excited about this course. Our team spent a long time doing a very thorough, good job on this, and I'm so beyond excited. Great asynchronous resource. Also included a link to this in the deck. So that brings us to the training. So our goal today is to support you in learning ChatGPT with an emphasis on safe and responsible deployment. We're excited to help you explore its potential to assist you as an educator. So let's do it. So what can you do with ChatGPT? There are so many different things, and we're going to cover a couple of very key use cases today. From researching to translating to reasoning, there's so many different use cases here, and we're going to focus on ones that'll be the most relevant for you as K-12 educators. So, there's a couple different ways to access ChatGPT. You can go to chat.com. You can go to chatgpt.com. You can also download the app. So you can download the Windows or Mac app or download the iOS or Android mobile app. The point here is ChatGPT can meet you where you're at on the device that works best for you. And I think that's really excellent, especially with different types of devices in districts and schools across the country. Really beneficial. So again, if you missed the link earlier in the session, right here is again the deck. We're going to be using this a lot today, and you're going to be jumping in and out of ChatGPT using some of these prompts. And we will, of course, be recording this session as well and sharing that after. So let's dive in. So folks can open up your ChatGPT in a separate window. And I'm now going to dive into some use cases here. So one of the most powerful use cases of chat is to help learn. You know, for questions like, how do I? Why is this? Give me ideas. It's a really good thought partner to help you explore and learn and explore new ideas. And I think that's really cool. So to emphasize this, I would love for everybody on this call, we're going to copy this prompt. So I'm going to do the same thing that y'all are doing. I'm copying the prompt. And I'm just going to Control-C that. And I'm headed into ChatGPT. All right, so here you are seeing the homepage of ChatGPT. Couple things to call out. If you ever get lost, right, in ChatGPT, the simplest thing you can do is, this is the sidebar. This will feature all of your chats. It'll feature GPTs that you built. We'll get into that in later sessions, projects, so on and so forth. If you're ever sort of lost, the best thing to do is just click a new chat, and that'll bring you to the homepage again. If you're ever like, how do I get there? How do I get to that sidebar? You go to the top left, you click open sidebar, easy to navigate there. All right, so let's get into learning with ChatGPT. So again, we have this prompt, and I'm going to paste this in. And what everybody on the call should do is you're going to fill out your role, and then you can enter in your district or school or location if you choose to do so. So I'm going to do this as a principal at, let's say, Denver Public Schools. So right now I'm telling ChatGPT, tell me about the OpenAI Academy with a focus on K12 content. What resources do you have available that'll be helpful for me as my role as blank at whatever institution you're at? Flag resources that might be helpful for me in my role and explain why. Very simple prompt. We're going to get into prompting strategies in just a moment, but I think this is a good exemplar. Let's put it in. And what this is doing as we're going through is it's actually going through and thinking through the process to provide you the best possible context. So it's looking at the OpenAI Academy that I sent it to. It's looking through the context. It's looking through various resources. And we'll give it just a moment. It'll come back with a lot more content here. Bear with me. It's thinking very thoroughly. And this is a huge benefit of the Auto 5.1 that we included in ChatGPT for teachers. It'll self-select between thinking or not based upon the context of your usage. We'll let this one run for just a moment, and it should open up here in a moment. Just in case, I'm going to repost this one. And then again, if you're ever lost on where you're going, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to find my resources, and this will post out an output in just a moment here. All right, so we will jump back to that in just a moment. Bear with me here. I'm having some issues in this workspace. Here we go. I'm going to repaste this. ChatGPT for teachers. We'll let that process. Okay. So folks should be seeing some type of a result that looks like this. And what you'll note in this prompt is you provided the context of who you are, your location, what you're looking to do, and you're pointing it at a website. So what you'll see here is by providing this context, you're going to get much more personalized results here. So I've told it I'm a principal. I've told it my location. So it's now going to look through the academy, and it's going to provide me with much more relevant results. So what does it provide and why? It explains that. If you scroll down, when we get to here, on demand replays, it's going to actually start suggesting direct sessions for you that'll be very, very relevant. So direct PD sessions that are relevant to your role, understanding. So again, this is a great way to learn. And we're going to talk about prompting in just a moment so you can get really effective prompts just like that. All right. So now we're going to head back to the deck and we're going to talk about prompting. So what are the foundations of a good prompt? There are so many different frameworks for prompt engineering, and I wanted to cover what we at OpenAI typically use internally. It's very simple and it's easy to remember. So I'm going to walk you guys through this. What the concept is task, context, expectations. The thing about LLMs is they are not magic, right? It is math. It doesn't know what you want if you don't tell it. So you need to really describe what you want, and that's really the benefits of prompt engineering. So every prompt, let's just start with the framework here, task. Create an engaging activity on atomic structure, right? If you just wrote that into ChatGPT, it doesn't know the context. It doesn't know if you're a teacher, the grade level you're teaching, any relevant content standards, things like that. So you'll get a result, but it's not going to be a relevant result for you. That's why you need to add context, right? So if you add context to this, create an engaging activity on atomic structure. I'm a 9th grade chemistry teacher at a public school in New York City. This is already going to create a much better result, right? So now it knows the grade level I'm teaching. It understands the location. It understands the task of what I want, but I haven't really explained the expectation of what I want from the output, right? So you'll get a better result there, but you're not going to get as good of a result as if you add expectation, right? So let's put it all together. Create an engaging activity on atomic structure. I'm a 9th grade chemistry teacher at a public school in New York City public schools. Align with these specific standards, include a rubric, align with this existing lesson plan, this framework, so on and so forth. This is the secret to getting incredibly powerful outputs. There are a million different systems for doing so, but again, what I would like folks to remember is task, context, expectation. And I'm going to let folks in on a big secret here. One of the most powerful aspects of Chat GPT is its ability to help you iterate on these prompts. One big secret of what folks inside of OpenAI do is we are constantly utilizing Chat GPT to improve our prompts and to improve our outputs. So what does this look like? Maybe you had a prompt around researching a specific topic, and the end result you're getting is it's pointing to information that is less relevant for what you're looking to do. The best strategy I can tell y'all is I'll jump back into ChatGPT. This is how you iterate on your prompt. So you could put that prompt back into ChatGPT, and if you were not getting a good result, and what you could do up here would be, help me refine this prompt. And then you're going to describe what's happening. I'm not getting this particular output. It's not focusing on these particular sources. I don't like the structure of the output. So you'll ask ChatGPT to help me refine and iterate and improve this prompt to get this specific output. And it's a great way to partner with it to get a better output of a prompt that you can then utilize. This is constantly what we're doing internally, and it's something I recommend to everyone. Use chat not to create your prompts, but to improve and iterate on them to get better results if you're not getting the results you want. All right. So now we're going to jump back in. And these large language models like, ChatGPT 5.1, they often have training cutoff dates, right? This means that they harness the power of all these different knowledge and resources, right, to build these models out. But there's a certain date of which their training ends on, right? And this is where search comes into play. Utilizing search, like oftentimes if you're looking for like really quick information, right? Something that came out in the last 90 days, or you want to get something that's extremely up to date. That's where search is extremely powerful. And I'm going to share some very relevant use cases for folks that I think will be helpful. So now we have an activity. So everybody is going to take this prompt, and you're welcome to customize this to you. This prompt is optimized to target based upon your role and your location to provide you with results that'll be very relevant for you. So let me just read this prompt to folks because I think it's helpful. And again, keeping in mind, task, context, expectation. Create an executive brief for me. You would say your role and district or whatever. Summarizing the top 5 school or classroom impacting updates from the past 90 days related to assessment and grading, curriculum and standards, student supports and accommodations, school operations and safety, and staff policies. For each update, include a 1 to 2 sentence impact explanation tailored to my role. If any, and this last point I think is very important to add into prompts if you're trying to do research and do that. If any details preliminary or uncertain, upend check source. What this does is you're telling ChatGPT, if you're unsure about any particular information in this, flag to me up front that I should check this source. And I think that's really powerful. So as a group, everybody copy and paste this prompt inside of the deck. All right. And I'm going to go to ChatGPT. And I'm just pasting it into the chat. Again, if you're lost and you're like, where am I? How do I get to a new chat? You'll just click new chat over here. You'll post this in, and I'm just going to pick a random role. I'll say principal at, let's say, Mesa Public Schools.
Hey, Sam, you're not showing the chat screen.
If you thank you. So sorry. Yep. So what I did here is I just copy and pasted the chat into ChatGPT. If you look over on the left, if you're lost for some reason, you would just click this new chat and it would open up this new chat. And I just pasted it in and filled in my role and the location. And one other thing you'll do before sending, ChatGPT will do this automatically in most cases, but if you want to 100% ensure, you will click this plus button at the bottom and click web search. And this is the power of this. So now I'm going to get, again, because I've given it the context, the task, the expectations, I've told it who I am and where I'm at. So it's going to be very relevant results for me. So if you scroll down here, it's going through more assessment transparency in the particular state for Mesa Public Schools. I just chose that randomly. So it's providing recommendations there. It's talking about a shift towards adaptive assessments and evolving expectations. One thing to note here is with each of these, it'll provide sources. So at the end of this, right, especially when you click search and it's searching the web, it'll provide sources so you can review and make sure that information is valid and legitimate. And then again, if it's uncertain of information, it'll also flag that to you, but you should always check your sources. So highly recommend this for, again, you want to utilize search if it's a new piece of information that you want to ensure gets included here. I think that's very, very, very powerful. So great use of search. Again, following that same framework, task, context, expectation. All right. So if you just joined us and you're trying to catch up with where we are, or you're trying to access this deck, I'm going to put this link up here again. Again, you can click the link and it is case sensitive, or you can take a picture of that QR code and it'll bring you right into the deck. All right, so I figure if you're like me, you probably don't want to have to tell ChatGPT that you're a 5th grade teacher or principal every single time you chat. And if you're like me, you might want to customize your experience so you're getting better outputs or relevant results for you. We're going to talk about specifically how to do that through personalizing your conversations. So I'm going to jump back into ChatGPT, right? So if I'm here, what do I do if I'm feeling lost inside of ChatGPT and I want to get rid of this? I just click new chat, blank, right? So what we're now going to do is I'm going to teach folks how to personalize your settings. So you're going to open the sidebar and you're going to scroll all the way down and click your name down here. So again, if you're lost there, I'll do it one more time. Go to left. You're going to open the sidebar. You're going to scroll down to your name, and there should be a little image down there. And you're going to click personalization. So this is one of the most powerful tools inside of ChatGPT, and this is the ability to help personalize these tools for you specifically, so you get better results for what you're looking for. So a couple of things I will call out first. We're going to start down here on the About You. You can choose to give yourself a nickname, and this is what ChatGPT will call you. All this is entirely optional. Something I would suggest, Occupation. Folks should absolutely fill this out if you want to get more relevant results for your role. So for example, if you're a 5th grade teacher, it's very worthwhile to say, I'm a 5th grade teacher at this specific school or district. That means anytime you put a prompt into Chat GPT, it's going to look at these personalization settings, and then it'll tailor your results based upon the information you have here. So if you tell it you're a teacher or an educator, you're going to get you're going to get results that'll be tailored to you and the role that you have. You're also, the other area I'll show down here is memory. So personally, I suggest, because again, this is a data protected workspace. OpenAI cannot train on your data, and you own your inputs and outputs in ChatGPT for teachers. So the memories are important because that means every time you chat, it saves those chats in your workspace. Again, we don't have access. And what you can do there is you'll get much more personalized experiences over time. So I think it's very important to have that referenced. And last but not least, custom instructions. Think about this as a prompt. It's like a system prompt for you. So I myself, diagnosed ADHD. I don't deal well with like large chunks of text or like lots of information. So for me personally, I typically put in things like when a large, prioritize bullets. When explaining information, I might say something about when doing research, look at these particular websites, EdWeek, scholarly journals, whatever it might be. In essence, you can call this out in any different way you'd like. Just like everything, it's an iterative process, right? So I suggest starting with a few. Maybe it's something like you don't want any M dashes in your results, right? I want to have things bulleted. I want to have only utilizing K12 resources when doing research. Again, you point it where you want to go. I suggest starting slow and adding more over time, and you'll get a much better experience that's directly relevant for you. Thank you all so much. Let's get back into the deck. All right. So now we're going to get into voice mode. This is one of the most powerful and underutilized tools inside of ChatGPT. I'm going to walk you guys through some very helpful use cases. And the thing I'd like for people to take note of is that the prompting strategies are exactly the same if you're using voice mode or if you're using text input chat. So let's dive into some examples of this, and I'll make these very relevant for schools. Bear with me. All right, sharing my other tab. Okay. So to access voice mode, you should see this is dictate. So dictate means I'm speaking and it turns it into text. That is not voice mode. What you want to do voice mode is you'll see something like voice mode over here on the right. I'm going to show folks some examples of how you might do this. Hi, chat. I am a 5th grade teacher based out of Los Angeles, California. I'm about to have a conversation with a parent that only speaks Spanish with a Mexico dialect. When you hear English, translate to Spanish with a Mexico dialect. When you hear Spanish, translate back to English. This is an education setting, so make sure that information is clear and at an understandable level for many folks. So again, education setting, and keep this very school setting appropriate.
Of course, I'll handle that. Whenever you speak English, I'll translate it into Spanish with a Mexican dialect. And when you speak Spanish, I'll translate it back to English. Let's keep it nice and clear for everyone.
Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to talk to you about your students' performance in my class. I have some concerns about their attendance lately, and we need to talk about that.
Muchas gracias por acompañarme hoy. Quería hablar con usted sobre el desempeño de su estudiante en mi clase. Tengo algunas preocupaciones sobre su asistencia últimamente y necesitamos hablar de eso.
Gracias. Este es siempre un problema con mi estudiante. Yo necesito hablar con él.
Thank you. This is always an issue with my student, and I need to talk to them.
So this is such a powerful tool. I cannot express that enough. Again, this is not a tool to replace interpreters and so many folks that help assist English language learners in districts. The fact of the matter is that many educators, you're often, you're pulled in so many directions. And let's say you have a parent show up and you need to be able to communicate with that parent. They're very invested in their child's education and they want to be able to communicate with you. You call the translation line, nobody's available. Maybe it's a language that's not supported inside of your district. So again, this is not a replacement, but this is a very, very powerful tool. Let me just show you guys some more examples. ChatGPT speaks 40 plus languages in audio mode, and let's just dive into that a bit deeper. Hi, Chat. Can you explain the level of fluency in voice mode that you have with different languages? So I want to hear, give me 10 languages that you would consider yourself the most fluent in.
Absolutely. So in voice mode, I can handle a pretty wide range of languages, but there are definitely some that I'm most comfortable and fluent in. For example, English is definitely at the top of the list. Then I'm quite fluent in Spanish, French, German, Italian, Portuguese, and Dutch. I also handle Mandarin Chinese and Japanese pretty well, and I'd say maybe Russian too. So those would probably be my top 10 in terms of fluency.
So any languages in the Middle East or Africa? Curious about that as well. Or Southeast Asia?
Yeah, definitely. I can also handle a few languages from those regions pretty comfortably. For instance, in the Middle East, I'm reasonably fluent in Arabic, and I can manage Hebrew too. If we look at Africa, I can handle a bit of Swahili, though maybe not as fluently as the top 10 languages I mentioned before. And then from Southeast Asia, I can work with Indonesian or Malay.
So again, as you can see, chat is providing me with context as I'm asking it questions. You can provide questions and ask, what languages do you speak? And it'll really provide you context. So that's really helpful for those moments where you need to connect with an English language learner, or you need to connect with a parent or guardian and you don't have an interpreter available. It can be a really powerful tool for that. I want to show one other use case for voice mode because there's so many for this. Let's dive in. Hi, chat. I am a teacher. I'm a 5th grade teacher, and a role just opened up in my school district for a tech integration specialist role. I'm very interested in interviewing for this, but I don't have a lot of experience. Can we do a mock interview and then you'll provide feedback after each answer based upon what my answer is?
Absolutely. We can do that. Let's go ahead and set up a mock interview scenario. I'll ask you a question just like an interviewer might, and then after you answer, I'll give you some feedback on how it went. We can do a few rounds if you'd like. Let me know when you're ready to start.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Great. Let's dive in. Mock interview question 1. Interviewer, thanks for your interest in the tech integration specialist role. To start off, can you tell us a little bit about why you're interested in moving from a 5th grade teaching position into a tech integration role, and how you think your teaching experience might help you in this new capacity? Go ahead and give me your answer whenever you're ready.
Yeah, great question. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not someone that uses a lot of technology in my classroom, and the role just opened up and it seemed pretty interesting, so that's why I applied.
All right. Thanks for that answer. Let's break it down a bit and give you some feedback. Feedback on your answer. Highlighting your motivation. It's always a good idea to connect your interests to something more specific than just the role being open. Even if you're not a big tech user yet, you can frame it around your curiosity or your enthusiasm for learning new skills. For example, you might say you've seen...
Again, this will provide you tons of feedback. You could provide an upload, like a feedback framework prior and say, follow this feedback and provide me with that. So again, I'm just trying to uncover for folks how powerful this tool can be. One other thing I'll call out, any principals on the call or admin or teachers as well. You ever have any difficult conversations where you're nervous about a conversation coming up and you want to sort of role play that prior? Another great tool for voice mode is being able to role play those conversations. Check out different angles of how people might react. And it's a really helpful tool if you get nervous about a conversation coming up. All right. So those are some very powerful uses of voice mode. We are now going to dive a little deeper. All right. So this brings us to writing content with Canvas. One feature that many folks are completely unaware of is something called Canvas. Think about this as an interactive workspace inside, or an interactive document inside of ChatGPT. Oftentimes in the past, when people are using chat, right, they'll put an input, they'll get a long output, and then they're unable to edit it. So they'll just be putting little comments and then it's regenerating the entire thing. Not very helpful if you're trying to edit specific sections. So I'm going to teach folks about a very helpful use case of utilizing the Canvas tool inside of ChatGPT for teachers or any version of chat. So let us dive in. All right. So we're gonna, sorry about that. I'm gonna go back to here. I included 2 prompts in here that folks can utilize. And again, if you're looking to get these decks, you can click this QR code or you can go to bit.ly/OAI-teachers. Case sensitive, it is case sensitive. All right, so you're gonna go in there and then these are the 2 slides. You can pick from either one. Don't enter the prompt yet, but you copy the one of your choosing. This first one is just a simple letter to parents about going to the zoo and permission forms and all that. The second prompt was create a 250-word nonfiction passage about pollinators, 3rd grade students, Lexile. Shout out to you, 46, for this prompt. Great job. All right, so folks are now going to select one of these. I'm personally going to go with the second. So I'm going to copy this prompt. And of course, you can adjust anything in here or the first prompt. And we're all going to go into chat together. And again, if you're lost, or let's say you're on an old chat, you're just going to go, if you close the sidebar, you can open it, you can click new chat, and you'll be right here. So I'm just going to paste this into chat. And this is the most important aspect. Oftentimes, if you don't click this button, it'll select Canvas most of the time, but not always. If you want to ensure that it goes into Canvas, click the plus button. And then you're going to click More and Canvas. So again, you put your input, create a 250-word, this is my passage. I'm going to click the plus button, More, and Canvas. And then let's see what we get. All right. So what we got here, this is a canvas. What's amazing about these is, again, this is like a live interactive doc. So I'm going to let this generate. It's all done. And now we're going to go into our canvas and we're going to click edit. This is what brings you into a canvas. And most people are unaware how to create these. Again, it's that plus button. You click canvas and it'll automatically put your output into a canvas. What's great about this is, again, this is an interactive doc. So I can write in here. I could delete different sections. I can look at different revisions, show any changes that were made. Very powerful. Where I think this goes to the next level is I'm going to explain 2 different windows here. The right window is the canvas. The left window is the overarching chat. So here's what you can do in the actual canvas itself. A couple different things. I'm going to say, so you can outline any section. So I'm going to outline this. And I'm going to say, shorten this section and add more descriptors. So instead of editing the entire document, it's just going to edit that section I selected, right? Or maybe I'm wanting to go in here and I'm going to say, so again, all you need to do is you just outline the section you want to add. Click edit. You outline the section you want to add edits to, add that. And I'm going to say, bold the animals. So it'll go through and instead of editing the entire document, it's just going into those individual sections. And as you can see, it highlighted all the animals and insects. So that's one very relevant use case here. Other things that you can do. Let's say I wanted to, select the whole thing or just select this section. These are edits that you can do in a bit more depth here. So there's things like add emojis. This will make it fun. Add final polish. That'll fix grammar and things like that. Here's the tools that I like to call out for folks. First is reading level. So maybe you add, for example, a parent communication. In my opinion, in many schools that I work with, parent communication should be, equitable and it should reach many different reading levels so folks can be able to access that. So you could, for example, adjust the reading level up to way to graduate school. Let's see where that goes. I'm going to change this to graduate school. And we're going to get a very long, convoluted document here. So let's see what we get here. Give it a moment. And it'll edit just that section that we've highlighted. And there we go. And it revised that to reflect it. It'll change that to graduate level. A couple different use cases there. The only other thing I'll note is on the left side over here. Oh, and as you can see, it makes it a lot more interesting there. On the left side, this is where you would edit the entire document. So again, this is the chat. This is the canvas. I'm going into the canvas. And I'm going to say on the left, add a Spanish translation below and add an Arabic translation below that. And when you do this on the left side of the chat, it'll edit the entire document. So you'll see that it'll go through. It's now providing English, Spanish, Arabic translations. Again, you could do this for individual sections or the entire document, but I just wanted to call out some of these powerful tools within Canvas and the ability to actually, edit the entire document, individual sections, and the translation capabilities. So that's a really powerful use case for Chat GPT for teachers and using Canvas. All right. And bear with me here. So now we're going to get into image gen. So if you're lost a bit and you're trying to find where the deck is, you can, again, access this over here. Sorry, I'm just going to make that larger. And now we're going to get into image gen. So another powerful aspect of ChatGPT for teachers is the fact that we have image gen built in. And I think everybody gets 3 a day, which I think is great helpful. So I'm going to put in a prompt here, which I think is also very helpful. Oops. So folks can copy this prompt on slide 27. And again, if you've already put in your custom instructions, it should recognize your role in district or school or location. But I put this in here just in case. And this is one way that you can prompt and create these images. So we're going to go in. Excuse me. I'm starting a new chat. And I'm going to say I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Anchorage Public Schools. Create a bright classroom safe water cycle diagram aligned to, again, you could put your relevant standards in there. ChatGPT should know the relevant standards based upon your location as long as you're putting in those contexts that it needs. Show 4 stages: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, collection. Show big labels and simple arrows. Include student-friendly captions under 8 words under each stage. So again, it's better to over-describe what you're looking for. Another thing that I'll note here is if you want to always ensure that it creates an image, you can click Create Image under the plus box. And it'll then start to generate an image based upon this output. So again, really powerful use case for creating images. The other thing I'll note is sometimes, folks, you might get an image that you're not as happy with or you don't like the output that you're getting. Same thing we talked about before. That's where you'll iterate on your prompt using ChatGPT. So maybe if you got a version that has words that are wrong or location or something that you don't like, you would put in your prompt and you would say, hey, chat, help me optimize this prompt. I'm getting this output. I don't want that. I want to have this particular style, this information included, so on and so forth. Again, use ChatGPT to optimize your prompt and explain the output that you're looking for. So I'll let folks run that. You can check out your images. You can edit that, do whatever you'd like there. And we're going to dive. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm in the wrong window again. So here we go. I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Anchorage Public Schools. To generate that image, I clicked Create Image. And then it'll draft this and that'll finalize in a moment here. In the meantime, I'm now going to jump into how do you organize your chats, right? Oftentimes, if you're like me, after using this for a while, you're going to end up with so many different chats and you're like, how can I structure this in a way that's more relevant and useful for my day-to-day? That's where projects come into play. And let's explain exactly how to utilize those. So if you are in the middle, right, and you're like, how do I open up the side menu? Again, you go to the top left, you open the sidebar, and you're going to scroll down here to a section called Project. And I'm just going to call this, research. We'll just do that. So in our 102 session, we're going to be specifically covering the building of custom GPTs and how to use projects in a collaborative way with other people in your district, how to utilize them in more strategic ways for processes. But today I'm just going to focus on using them as a structure, and we will dive into that much deeper in 102, which is the next session. So in research, what's great about this is like a drag and drop type of situation. I can go down and I could just grab this pollinators chat and you can just drag it right into there. What that'll do, let me just drag it up here. There we go. And then what that should populate in here. So, excuse me. Bear with me. It'll upload those. So you can move chats that way. You can also move them to projects by doing it like this. You click on the chat, you click the 3, you click move to project, and you can like push anything into one of these projects. This is really useful if you're working on sort of an ongoing project or research or whatever it might be. So maybe, for example, I'm aligning the curriculum, right? And we've had tons of changes and I'm wanting to structure all of our curriculum alignment research and everything we're looking into one particular folder. That's a really great way to use this. You can add your chats into here, structure them as you please. In our next session, we're going to get into a lot more depth on projects and custom GPTs, as I mentioned. But for now, I'm just going to show a couple basic project settings. Bear with me. We're going to start a fresh one just so folks can see this. I'm creating a project again. And again, to do that, I go on the left, I click new project. Click this key button. And this is memory of your project, right? So sometimes, right, maybe you're doing some type of research and you don't want it to be pulling in memories from your other chats that you have inside of this workspace, right? Or maybe you just want to make sure that this information, it's only a bubble of information inside of this project and it's not pulling from anything else that you've done inside a chat. That's where memory comes into play. So and you can only set this up when you originally create the project. So as you're creating it, you'll click this. Default means that it'll access memories from outside of this project folder. If you select project only, this folder has no memories or context of anything else you've done in chat. So based upon your use case, you have to decide if that's relevant or not, right? So for this default, you would click create, and then you're able to just add in chats into here. Again, this will be a huge content focus for our next session. So I just wanted to highlight that. All right. And we wanted to keep today a bit high level on 101 to make sure that we could dive into, some baseline use cases, so how do you write effectively using Canvas? How can you utilize voice mode? How do you generate these images? What are the most effective ways to do so? And that was the goal of this presentation. In the next 102 session, we'll be getting into a lot more in depth of how to use connectors, things like Canva and other tools, Google Drive, Office 365, tools like that can integrate into chat. We're going to cover that. We're going to cover projects. So again, today we covered project folders. We're going to talk about how to use projects for interactive, collaborative work amongst colleagues, right? Or utilizing it for a repetitive task. We're going to get into custom GPTs and a lot more relevant content there. But again, I just wanted, for the sake of this, call out one more time. I'm so excited about this course, Chat GPT Foundations for Teachers. Again, if you want to access that Chat GPT Foundations for Teachers course, we will launch over there. And this is where there's tons of modules in here, tons of interactive content. It's super, super exciting. And I want to give a huge shout out to Kara and Olivia for doing so much amazing work on that, and all of the teachers and educators that collaborated with us to build this free, powerful course. It's about 4 hours to complete, just to call that out, has 7 different modules, and it's very much so teaches you how to actually use the product. It's not theory. It's all about like, how to use the product. How do I keep my users safe? How do I utilize this in a useful way for me as a teacher? All right. That being said, I would like to thank everybody for your time today. And last but not least, there's some helpful resources in here. Again, if you go to the deck, you can access the OpenAI Academy. We have the forum, our education links. And again, if you are a part of the OpenAI Academy, make sure you do a couple different things here because we have so much K-12 content here, and it's going to be vastly expanding over time. So inside of the OpenAI Academy, you'll need to sign in. It's completely free. You would then go to communities in the top left. You'll go down and you can join the K-12 education community, or if you're an admin or district leader, you can join that community. We will have tons of consistent content in here. We also have a third one for IT and technical staff. And we're going to be posting lots of content in these communities, giving people ways to connect and further engage with us. So I want to thank everybody so much for your time today. Again, I'm Sam Cannon-Kaplan, and we hope that today was helpful. This will be recorded and shared with you inside of the Academy. So make sure, again, you join one of those communities. And thank you all so much. Really appreciate your time. I'm Sam. Thanks.